Theme parks. We all love them, but some are clearly better than others. And when talking about our favorite theme park, some will answer wildly different than others. Maybe it's Cedar Point, the roller coaster capital of the world. Maybe it's Disneyland, the happiest place on earth. Maybe it's Six Flags America. Point is, everyone has different opinions. There is no right or wrong answer to what one's favorite theme park may be. Some value high thrills, others value immersive themed experiences, and from my many experiences visiting theme parks all around the world, I value both pretty much evenly. Yes, I enjoy both roller coasters and dark rides, but also when looking at things more objectively, some parks may be catering to a different audience or looking to accomplish something very different from another park. My top 25 theme parks list is going to be a healthy balance of subjective and objective. Because if I have a better day at Elitch Gardens than Cedar Point for some reason, I don't care what you say, Elitch Gardens is not the better park. Now, before we actually get things started, I do want to give you an idea of what theme parks I have to choose from in order to compile my top 25. I have been fortunate enough to have visited almost all major parks in the United States, as well as several in Germany, Poland, Denmark, Netherlands, Belgium, France, Switzerland, Canada, and Mexico. A rule of thumb is I cannot include any theme park I haven't been to, so no Six Flags Great America, no PortAventura, and no Tokyo Disney Sea. Oh, and I will be dividing my top 25 into two parts, the first containing spots 25 to 11. Part 2, featuring the top 10, will be released 3 days after this one. Alright, let's dive in, starting with number 25, Six Flags Mexico in Mexico City. Easily the best amusement park in the country of Mexico is this absolute gem of a Six Flags park. You always hear about Six Flags Magic Mountain and Six Flags Great Adventure, but in my opinion, Six Flags Mexico is right up there. Admittedly, its collection of rides and roller coasters isn't anywhere near as good, but in my opinion, how the park is run and taken care of sticks out amongst most of the other parks in the chain. The operations are some of the fastest in any corporate park I've been to, the park visually looks beautiful, and several of the attractions have their share of theming. If that wasn't enough, thrill seekers will get a real kick out of the park's top 2, which is comprised of Medusa Steel Coaster, Latin America's only RMC, and Superman El Ultimo Escape, one of my favorite hypercoasters I've ridden. At number 24 is Disney's California Adventure in Anaheim. Our first of many Disney parks that made my list is one of my home parks right here in Southern California. In my opinion, Disney's California Adventure is a great complement to the main castle park. There's lots of excellent attractions, with some of my favorites being Radiator Springs Racers, Soarin' Around the World, Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, and Incredicoaster. In addition, the theming and atmosphere throughout the park is top-notch, as with most Disney theme parks. Though this may come off as a really subjective take, the one thing I wish this park included that it really doesn't is an elite e-ticket attraction that could rival rides like Rise of the Resistance and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway in the main park. I don't think the investment this park has been receiving as of late is really improving the park all too much, because where California Adventure is getting stuff like Spider-Man Web Slingers, Disneyland is getting these absolutely remarkable trackless dark rides. At number 23 is Carowinds in Charlotte, North Carolina. We've discussed our first Six Flags and Disney park entries, now let's talk about our first Cedar Fair park. Carowinds is a really well taken care of park straddling the border of North and South Carolina. Technically, it is in both states, and that Carolina togetherness is a lot of what makes up this park's charm and personality. Carowinds is home to a total of 14 roller coasters and an absolutely fantastic top 4. Fury 325 is one of the best steel coasters in the world, just an incredible experience from beginning to end. Copperhead Strike is a terrific double launch coaster with a great variety of forces. Afterburn is an often overlooked inverted coaster with heavy positive G-forces and a rare batwing element. And then lastly, Intimidator is an underrated B&M hypercoaster with plenty of floater airtime moments. For some, this park may seem a little low, especially because it isn't grouped up with the other comparable Cedar Fair parks ranked higher on my list. When I visited Carowinds in the summer of 2021, I did notice a lot of inconsistencies in what sections of the park had been receiving investment and what have not. Some parts really reeked of charm and others seemed rather dead with little atmosphere. Cedar Fair has been working on this in recent years though, which leads me to believe that Carowinds will shoot up on my list. But for now, 23 is where I've settled for this park. Our first international park takes the number 22 spot, and that's Hansa Park in Sierksdorf, Germany. This park surprised me. I wasn't really expecting it to like it so much. I walked away thinking it was one of the top 5 parks I visited in Europe, both for its wonderful landscaping and atmosphere and its sweet ride lineup. Hansa Park is an independently owned park, so they aren't going to have the budget of some of the other parks on this list. However, they've been able to get really creative in creating some of the most highly immersive themed experiences I've seen. Hansa Park's best roller coasters are able to combine an engaging storyline and thrilling layout into one. That's not something you see every day, and to see it executed well is even less common. The Schwarzkanonen is in my opinion the best roller coaster in all of Germany and one of the best in Europe. But don't let that overshadow Flucht von Novgorod, an absolutely outstanding launch coaster. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, I wasn't even able to spend an entire day at this park, but I honestly think it warrants it more than some others in the area, including Haida Park. The next time I find myself in this part of Europe, I will absolutely make it a priority to spend some more time at this wonderful theme park. At number 21 is Holiday World in Santa Claus, Indiana. Another independently owned property, Holiday World likes to do things a little different. It's this little park out in the middle of nowhere, Indiana, with a great small park charm. They offer things like free parking, free soft drinks, free sunscreen, and an included award-winning water park. This is all because the owners value great guest experience. A lot of parks in America, including several on this list I will admit, seem like they'll do whatever they can to steal your money. But Holiday World has great value, it never really gets too busy, and best of all, they have an unbelievable little coaster lineup. If you love wooden roller coasters, this might be one of the greatest parks in the world. Voyage easily became one of my all-time favorite coasters due to its exceedingly long layout through the woods. Legend and Raven also do a similar sort of thing. These three Woodies are absolutely incredible rides. Then Holiday World's most recent coaster edition, Thunderbird, is a wonderful complement as well, this being the park's only major steel coaster. As of the recording of this video, I'm also happy to announce that my brother and I will be participating in the park's roller coaster enthusiast event, Hollywood Nights. It's a 2-day long event, most well known for its incredibly long operating hours and trimless night rides on the legendary Voyage. After this upcoming visit, I'm sure my love for this park will only grow larger. Coming in at number 20 is Disney's Hollywood Studios in Orlando, Florida. One of 4 theme parks at the Disney World Resort is also my second favorite at the Disney World Resort. In my opinion, Hollywood Studios boasts the highest quality of rides of all the Disney parks in Orlando. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, an absolutely incredible themed area by the way, is home to 2 world-class dark rides, Rise of the Resistance and Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. The former is my favorite non-coaster attraction anywhere in the world. You'll also find Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, a phenomenal trackless dark ride, as well as the iconic Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, a ride that everyone seems to love. The park also looks great and has a typically awesome Disney atmosphere. The park isn't overly big, so it's really easy to park hop between some of the other parks in the area, but it's a really fun time on its own as well. Number 19 is Disney's Animal Kingdom in Orlando, Florida. I'll gladly admit that Hollywood Studios has my favorite ride lineup of all the 4 Disney parks in Florida. However, in my opinion, Animal Kingdom is the most beautiful and most immersive one. I also do think their own respective ride collection is often overlooked. Flight of Passage is one of the best dark rides in the world, period. It's a beautiful simulator experience that really takes you into the world of Avatar. Na'vi River Journey is honestly another one of my favorite Disney rides on top of that. I think this boat ride is incredibly underappreciated. Expedition Everest is a wonderful roller coaster experience built in this man-made mountain. But it's when you put the attractions aside and focus on the park's ambiance and landscaping where it really is one of the most immersive theme parks out there. Animal Kingdom has its own entirely different identity and feel relative to all the other Disney parks I've been to. And when you put that together with Disney's incredible operations, food, and themed areas, it's no wonder why I love this park so much. Number 18 is Busch Gardens Tampa in Tampa, Florida. Located just an hour west of Orlando, this beautiful theme park is well worth the detour. Busch Gardens Tampa originally opened with the name Busch Gardens Africa, and to this day you still have plenty of African animal exhibits. On top of that, the park is gorgeously landscaped and has sections with very nice theming. But most importantly is that this park has the best roller coaster lineup anywhere in the state of Florida. The new for 2022 coaster Iron Gwazi easily lives up to the hype. It's a relentless RMC with loads of airtime and world-class pacing. To back this up, there's also 3 excellent B&Ms, the sit-down looper Kumba, the inverted coaster Montu, and the dive machine Shikra. I also enjoy the park's 2 signature family coasters, Cheetah Hunt and Cobra's Curse. They're both really unique. And of course, if you catch it operating, a ride on Falcon's Fury, the freakiest drop tower out there, is a must. Number 17 is King's Dominion in Doswell, Virginia. Some of you may be surprised to see this park rank above places like Busch Gardens Tampa and Carowinds, but every time I visit this park, I have an amazing time. The atmosphere is so vibrant, the park visually is beautiful, and the rides are terrific. King's Dominion has what very well could be the best top 2 roller coasters of any park in the world. Intimidator 305 is my favorite roller coaster in the United States and is just an absolutely insane experience. The pacing and forces experienced on this intimate creation are second to none. Twisted Timbers is also an exceptional RMC with more airtime than you could possibly imagine. Catching a ride on Dominator is also fun as well, that being one of my favorite B&M floorless coasters. King's Dominion is heading in such a bright direction when the park is already fantastic as is. I can't wait to see what they do with a volcano replacement, as that will only elevate this park further on my list. Number 16 is Canada's Wonderland in Vaughan, Ontario, Canada. Canada's premier amusement park isn't just the best in the country, but it's one of my favorites overall. The park is presented incredibly well with the centerpiece Wonder Mountain, pristine landscaping, and a fair bit of theming as well. It also happens to be the park with the 3rd highest roller coaster collection in the world. With 18 on offer, one may ask why this isn't even higher on my list. Well, it's because a common criticism that this park gets is that most of the coasters are pretty dull. That I'll admit, but the top 3 B&Ms are all great, and so are the flat rides. Some must-dos when visiting the park are Leviathan, the park's standout coaster, Behemoth, an awesome hypercoaster, and Yukon Striker, the tallest and fastest dive coaster. I also got to try out some of the park's unique flat rides like Sledgehammer and Skyhawk. This is one of those parks where I'd recommend more than one day there if it's your first visit. There's so much to see and do at Canada's Wonderland, and even though I had a full 2 days at the park, I would have happily spent more time here. Number 15 is Busch Gardens Williamsburg in Williamsburg, Virginia. My favorite theme park in Virginia, and my favorite owned and operated by SeaWorld Entertainment, is a park that's grown on me so much in recent years. I first visited in the summer of 2021 and thought it was great, that it was beautiful, but was missing that true standout attraction. At the time, my favorite Virginian amusement park was actually King's Dominion. But with the addition of Pantheon this year, I think the park is now basically perfect. Pantheon is easily one of the best launch coasters in the world. It is everything I could ever ask for in an Intamin. Like its sister park, Busch Gardens Tampa, it also has those big 3 B&M coasters to follow up. Apollo's Chariot is an out-and-back hypercoaster through the woods. I know a lot of people love this one, but personally it's never done a whole lot for me. I'm a really big fan of the other 2 B&Ms in the park, Alpengeist and Griffin. Alpengeist is the tallest B&M invert out there and has a ridiculously intense layout. Griffin is nearly identical to the aforementioned SheiKra, and likewise is another great ride. I'm also a humongous fan of Verbolten. That is one of the most underrated launch coasters I've ever experienced. The icing on the cake is the sheer beauty of this park. Busch Gardens Williamsburg has won the Golden Ticket Award for most beautiful theme park in the world countless times. While I wouldn't rank it all the way up at number 1, it is absolutely breathtaking in so many areas. The park's theme sections are great too, all based off of different European countries like France, Germany, Italy, and Ireland. If you're planning a theme park trip on the east coast of the United States, make sure this one is at the very top of your priority list. Number 14 is Knoebels in Elisburg, Pennsylvania. This is a bit of a different park, probably most similar to Holiday World when it comes to parks also on this list in America. It's another family-owned business with great value, free parking, and all sorts of cool amenities. Knoebels reeks of charm, and if you've traveled to amusement parks all over the country, you'll instantly notice how this one sticks out. A lot of the pathways are gravel that lead to little bridges over creeks with trees above you and beautiful mountains all around the park. Even though I've been to this place several times now, I remember during my first visit, Knoebels felt like such a discovery experience. But it's one of those places I don't mind getting lost at because there's so much cool hidden stuff here. You've got these super awesome foods and desserts, these super classic rides and attractions, museums, and so much more. Knoebels only has 6 roller coasters, but almost all of them are very unique. Phoenix is a relocated wooden coaster from a defunct amusement park in Texas that has actually won the Golden Ticket Award for Best Wood Coaster in the world for countless years. It's personally not one of my favorites, but I still think the ride is awesome. Due to its minimalistic restraints, you go flying up out of your seat on each and every airtime hill. Twister is a rare wooden roller coaster with a twister layout. You have all these crossover sections, lots of laterals, and even the lift hill is split in half and stacked on top of one another. That gives you an idea of how compact they built this ride. Flying Turns is the world's only wooden bobsled coaster, a concept that used to be popular in the early 1900s, but today you'll only get to experience it if you come out to the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. Like Holiday World, they also only have that one major steel coaster, this one called Impulse. It's a cool zero tower coaster that mimics a layout found on a Gerstlauer Eurofighter. Knoebels is such a gem that I think all theme park fans should experience at one point in their life. Number 13 on my list is Hershey Park in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Ranking just one spot higher than Knoebels is another Pennsylvanian amusement park just an hour and a half away. But the two parks couldn't be more different from one another. Hershey Park is really the place to be for big crazy roller coasters in the eastern US. They might have one of the top 3 greatest coaster lineups in the world. Skyrush is one of the most intense steel coasters in the country. It's something that you really have to experience to believe. Storm Rudder is an awesome launch coaster, really one of the most unique layouts for a ride like this. Fahrenheit is another unique and interesting one. It has this beyond vertical drop, lots of inversions, and a handful of airtime moments. Candemonium is a large B&M hypercoaster that'll probably be the first thing you see as you're entering the park. Then you have some other great rides like Great Bear, Lightning Racer, etc. that are so much fun. Hershey Park is currently in the process of building Wildcats Revenge, their 14th roller coaster, and what I think many will argue would be the best. Because parks 13 all the way to 9 are bunched up super close in my rankings, I think Hershey Park post Wildcats Revenge will probably shoot up into my top 10. It's hard to believe their coaster collection could get any deeper after that. Lastly, with a name like Hershey Park, you've got to expect some sick desserts, and that's exactly what you'll get with items like the king-size milkshakes. Overall, Hershey Park is just a really well taken care of park that has an elite roller coaster lineup. I wouldn't say it's one of the most beautiful parks I've ever been to, and I think the flat rides could be better, but everything else about this place is pretty much perfect. At number 12 is Six Flags Magic Mountain in Valencia, California. My home Six Flags park is one that I've been visiting for years now. Along with Cedar Point, it really is that rite of passage experience for roller coaster fans since they have more coasters than any other park in the world at 20. And they don't just have the quantity, they have the quality too. X2 is absolutely insane, one of the most ridiculous coasters out there. Twisted Colossus is a super unique RMC that actually races another train. Tatsu is a huge flying coaster with the most intense element I've ever experienced on a coaster, that world's tallest pretzel loop. Wonder Woman Flight of Courage is the park's newest roller coaster. It actually just opened this year. That's the tallest and fastest single rail coaster out there. Apocalypse is also a criminally underrated wooden roller coaster with great pacing and lots of intense elements. And then there's like 10 other coasters that I can't get enough of. Just to name a few: Full Throttle, West Coast Racers, Viper, Riddler's Revenge, so much more. I also love Magic Mountain's appearance, and I think the setting is super cool, almost in this like desert oasis. The one gripe I hold against this place, and the reason it's not higher on my list, is that like with many other Six Flags parks, it's got a lot of those ugly advertisements everywhere, and the operations are very poor. Things like the food and employee friendliness just isn't up to the standard you'd expect for a park so world famous. Either way, I love this place to death, and I'm lucky that I've been able to visit so many times. To conclude part 1 of my top 25 theme parks list, here's my highest ranked Six Flags park, just slightly over Magic Mountain. Let's talk about number 11, Six Flags Fiesta Texas in San Antonio. There's no denying that Six Flags Magic Mountain is the best roller coasters of all the Six Flags parks. I'd actually say that park has the second best lineup anywhere in the world. But it just goes to show how thrill rides aren't everything. In my opinion, Six Flags Fiesta Texas feels the least like a Six Flags park, and in this case, that is a pro. The park is beautiful, located on the inside of a quarry wall, it's well themed, it's clean, it's constantly receiving park improvements and investments, and it really shows you how much potential the other Six Flags parks have, if only they had people running the park that care as much as the folks at Fiesta Texas. In addition, the rides and roller coasters are absolutely fantastic as well. Iron Rattler is a wonderful RMC coaster built alongside, on top of, and even inside a quarry wall. Superman Krypton Coaster does a similar kind of thing, and even just looking at it from a layout perspective, it is so intense and so much better than the other floorless coasters I've ridden. Wonder Woman Golden Lasso Coaster is a crazy intense RMC raptor with so many back-to-back elements and the best pacing on any coaster I've ridden. Fiesta Texas has really unleashed their potential when it comes to theming as well, with their newest addition, Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger, which has a whole pre-show, in-ride audio effects, and much more. I think this park is one of the best run corporate amusement parks in the world. I absolutely cannot wait to come back here. But with that being said, we're going to put an end to episode 1 of my top 25 theme parks list. There's lots of big names coming in part 2, including some new entries from Europe and the best of the best here in America. Stay tuned because you aren't going to want to miss it. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as it really helps me out against the YouTube algorithm. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.